Good afternoon, everyone. Joanna Hodorowska, did I say that correctly?
Yes, it's Hodorowska, yes.
Hodorowska is a holistic sports nutrition therapy coach, author, and multidimensional healer. She inspires athletes to be the fierce competitors in their life, not just their sport. Joanna helps her clients find the answers to unresolved issues and mystery symptoms, including pain, fatigue, and GI issues. She uses real food nutrition, energy work, and essential oils to restore balance and empowers her clients to reclaim their wholeness so they shine brighter, stronger, and longer. She's also an author of messages of love and inspiration for every moment, inspirational passages to help you choose the loving that is already inside of you. Nutrition for body, mind, spirit, and sport. So please help me welcome Joanna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Barbara, for inviting me, and actually thank you, Allison, who's also in the audience, for connecting Barbara and me, because it's a really, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And I want to thank all of you because you have an interest in health and nutrition, and I want to thank you for taking the time out to actually come and learn a little bit more about how to take care of you. So give yourself a pat on the back, and you know, it always makes you feel good, right? I'll give you all hugs when you're done because you'll be all good listeners. There is no quiz at the end, just so you know. So I have a question for all of you. Who wants to wake up energized? Who wants to be fully energized, you know, waking up in the morning, then at noon, and at night? Great. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. Because trying to have that balance and putting you as that focal point, it's what is going to give you that energy. Because when you're taking care of your needs, you have the energy to be amazing in the morning, at night, and every moment in between. So, I guess I don't need that part. I do have these handouts if you want some of them by the door there. So as I said, when you take care of your own needs, that's when you're feeling amazing. So imagine a three-legged stool. If you're standing on one leg, how long do you think you can stand there before you start tipping over? You know, so I want you to think of that three-legged stool as the foundation, and you're going to be the one on top of it. I'm going to talk about some of those aspects of that three-legged stool so that you can feel supported and you can have that energy morning, noon, and night, because that is really when you're feeling the most alive, is when you're taking care of you and you're feeling fully supported on all levels. So the first leg is the physical leg. So how do you feed yourself? How do you feed yourself? Do you think about it as food as calories, or do you think of food as fueling the body? Do you think of it as I'm actually choosing foods that are making me feel amazing, or am I unconsciously just choosing foods and just, you know what, I need some calories, I need to eat something, I'm just going to grab and run? Well, when we're stressed, we typically fall into that scenario of, I'm just going to grab anything. Or what's another option? When you're stressed, oh my God, I'm so focused on doing whatever it is, I forgot to eat. So then when you get to a meal, what happens? Right, you overeat. Then you're not really fueling the body, you're just throwing things down, trying to take care of another need that didn't get addressed earlier in the day. So you're basically overeating to overfill the gap that was earlier in the day. So that's one aspect of taking care of the body is how do you feed yourself? How do you take that nutrition and make it actually more nourishing? And how do you actually do some things to counteract the stress that you're in? Because when you're stressed, all sorts of weird things happen in terms of how you're fueling your body or not fueling your body. So I put together actually a tip sheet for you, which I will tell you later on how to actually get a copy of it, but it's 12 things that you can do now to actually improve your energy. And I'm just going to pick one, and number 4 is you want to balance your blood sugar with better meal compositions. Well, that's something that I do with clients because everybody needs to balance that blood sugar through the whole day. If you're skipping the meals, that blood sugar goes up and down. And every time, you get tired, cranky, and irritable is when that blood sugar level is down. You're tired, cranky, and irritable. You typically crave what? Sweets. What does that do to your blood sugar? Makes it go up. And then you feel actually pretty amazing for that, hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then, boom, the more you spike, the harder the fall. That's unfortunately how it is. But what happens then? You're tired, cranky, and irritable and moody all over again. And your coworkers are probably wanting to strangle you, or that candy bowl looks really inviting. A lot of people will have coffee as I'm tired, so I'm going to have coffee. Well, what goes really well with coffee?
Muffins.
Yep, cookies, biscotti, all these things go really, cream and sugar, right. But again, now you're giving yourself an energy boost. Well, maybe what you really just needed is to figure out a way to put a balanced meal into that afternoon or into that morning or somewhere in that day. I've got one client, Dana. She was 27 when she came to see me, just tired all the time, exercised, but just couldn't get the weight to budge. And this is one of the frustrations that most of us have when we're not taking care of our body, is we're overtired, overweighted, and overstressed. So she had extra weight, she was working on it, but she just couldn't get it to move. We ended up seeing that she was drinking coffee, like morning, noon, and night, like all the time, because she was tired. Well, she was spiking and dropping that blood sugar. Once we actually worked on managing those meals, she actually realized that most of the time that she was tired was because she was actually going too long with the meal, or she mismanaged an earlier meal. So she didn't end up having coffee anymore for the afternoon. She's like, oh, goody, I get to eat. So she had something fun to do. She got to eat. Because don't we all celebrate, or when we're eating, it's an opportunity to fuel the body the way we want to be, the way we want to take care of ourselves. So one of her testimonials was, I feel as though I have reached my healthy eating zen. I don't even want junk anymore. And I love knowing when my body's hungry or when it's tired and why. Wouldn't everybody want to feel that way? Right. So we've already addressed the physical, and know that we need to fuel the body with the right kinds of food for us that give us energy. We want to make sure that we move with the kind of movement that makes us happy, because if it's not making us happy, we're not going to do it. If we don't love it, we're not going to do it. And then make sure that we take the time to sleep and get the right kind of sleep. And that led us into the second leg, which is the emotional situations that we either deal well with or don't deal well with, and putting our own needs ahead of, not necessarily ahead of others, but if we don't take care of ourselves, then we're not really taking care of others as well as we can either. And I don't know if anybody watches Super Soul Sunday.
I do. I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I just saw just one of the videos, and I think it's a Yanka. She was saying you have to fill your cup first in order to
Pour out.
to let the love pour over, and then you can take care of others. It's the same thing with, you get on the airplane, what's the first thing they tell you? Put your oxygen mask on, because you're really no good in oxygen deprivation trying to help everybody, because you're pretty much on your last legs. So it's the same situation in a state of stress. We need to take care of what we need so that we can be the better partner, the better mother, the better father, the better friend, the better presenter, the better attendee, the better coworker. In order for us to be better, we need to be able to do what we need to keep us in a place of emotional balance and the physical balance. So if we don't take care of one, it affects the other. And then your three-legged stool still only has two, So we still have to address the third one, because we want to feel completely balanced and supported with three strong legs, not just two. Because if you think about it, the three-legged stool, if you put way more stress on one, what's gonna happen after a while? It's gonna break, or it's gonna get wobbly, or just do something, it's going to break and the whole thing tips over. So we don't want that. We're not gonna feel energized morning, noon, and night if we over-focus on one leg and ignore the other two, or if we focus on two and ignore the third. And some might say that there's a fourth leg, which is the spiritual aspect as well, which is whether you feel supported on a bigger level. But we're not going to talk about that one today, because that would be a whole nother talk for a whole nother day, right?
Now, the Super Soul Sunday, is that on the OWN?
That's on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Yes, it is on OWN.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's something that when I heard it there, it was just like the way that she said it. It's like, you're actually doing a disservice to God by not taking care of you. You have got to fill your cup with love in order for it to spill over. And interestingly enough, this client that I was telling you about that has the sixth son, she was actually saying, I gotta give from the saucer, from the stuff that spilled over. And my son keeps telling me that, but I'm not doing it. So that's part of what I do is it's not just the physical nutrition stuff. It's all the other aspects that are helping you become the whole person, the whole body.
Son's 10 years old?
Son is 10 years old.
Told her that?
Yeah. Well, you want to
Pretty
know what else
smart.
he told her?
Pretty smart.
Mom, take care of what you need to. I'll be okay.
Wow.
It's all going to be okay. So it's kind of like, she's having these emotional situations where she's feeling embarrassed about the situation she's in, using food and dishonoring her physical part. And in reality, it's like, all you got to do is give that hug, the emotion a hug, and tell it, you know what, it's going to be okay. When I was growing up, the whole thing in my family was all about, you have to be strong, Well, that's kind of what we're talking about now. You have to be strong, but the three legs have to be strong to support you. Well, if you're not allowing those emotions to be there and allow all the emotions to just be, you're actually creating the outer strength, but inside you are just, I'm gonna say falling apart, but you're breathing. You took that emotion and you're like, okay, the good ones, fine. We'll celebrate with the good ones, because it's always easy to be positive when you're happy, right? And when something goes right. But if something's not quite right and you feel like you're attacked, you tend to shut down. You tend to start feeling bad about yourself. You tend to take chocolate, let's say, and say, that's gonna take care of that emotion. It's gonna soothe me for a little bit. But what if it's just okay to be upset or angry? What if somebody said, it's all right. Hey mom, it's gonna be okay. Things will work out. I didn't get that when I was growing up. So I stuffed all those emotions and I stuck them in a nice little box and I stuffed it away, threw away the key, and maybe I'll forget about it. Well, guess what? Later on, it came out as hip pain. It came on as, GI issues. It came on as all sorts of other things. And my physical other symptom was I basically was training all the time, running away from life, because athletes liked me the way I was, and my family was criticizing. And it's not that they were criticizing, it's what I felt to be criticizing, So these emotional things, we've got to set them free, because it creates negativity in the body. And if we can uncover what that emotional hurt is, you can deal with the situation much better next time. And you can kind of live your life on your terms and say, you know what, this is what I need. You can ask for the support. You can ask for the hug. You can give yourself a hug. How good does it feel to give yourself a hug and say, you know what, it's okay. I'm human. I have emotions. I can be angry, and that's okay. I can eat my chocolate, and that's okay. I'm stressed. I'm going to eat my chocolate, and I ate one or two. And of course I have another one for when we're done, because I got to celebrate with that later. So, you can pick your food as a crutch, and that's okay. But there's ways to get around it, and some of it is just, can we understand what the emotion means? If it's a negative one, because the positive ones, who cares, you know? Go celebrate, fine. If you're celebrating way too much, maybe you're overweighting the celebration, and so now you have an issue with, okay, I stayed up till 2 in the morning with my friends, and it's a school night. It was really fun, but now I can't do what I need to do today because of the fun that I had yesterday, you know? So there's parts where the emotional part is good, but you've got to keep that in balance with the other parts of your life as well. Does that make sense? Chocolate, I'm just going to talk about chocolate because that's one of my crutches. And for years, it's like, you know, I would always say that, you know, chocolate is a bad thing. We can't have chocolate because, you know, I'm going to put on weight. It's going to be a bad thing. Every single Lent, I'm Catholic, so I don't want to offend anybody, but every Lent, I would give up chocolate because that would be true pain and suffering. Honestly, I'd be the best person because I would avoid it. Well, my birthday is also right smack in the middle of Lent. So I could make it to my birthday, and then of course my birthday, I'm celebrating. So I gotta have chocolate, you know? And so chocolate to me is, you know, the chocolate's not the issue. It doesn't misbalance my blood sugar. I actually like dark chocolate. When I was having my hip issues, chocolate was a problem if it were like M&Ms because the sugar in the coating made my hip hurt like hell. So I chose different chocolate that didn't hurt, you know? And so part of it is playing with, okay, chocolate, life without chocolate is really just not good for me. Other people are perfectly okay without it. But, you know, in terms of cravings, Doreen Virtue wrote a book called Constant Cravings. And in there, it's about giving yourself love instead of, you know, feed yourself love instead of feeding the emotions temporarily. And chocolate is one of those in that book. And depending on, you know, what kind of chocolate it is, and if it's like a Snickers bar versus, you know, M&Ms and peanut M&Ms and chocolate chips or whatever, it has different probable meanings. So for chocolate, the probable meaning is that you have a desire to be filled with the feeling of love. So most of the time, and I would crave chocolate chips at times, and in her book it would say, being frustrated with your love life. And I'm like, well, shit, I don't have a love life, so of course I'm frustrated with it, you know? So it made sense, but it's like, but then I realized that, you know what? That doesn't make sense to me because I'm not just eating chocolate. I'm not just eating that all day. It's part of everything else. But I celebrate with chocolate. I'm depressed with chocolate. I'm sad with chocolate. I'm stressed with chocolate. It doesn't matter. Chocolate is just something that I really like, and I feel grounded with chocolate. So why am I trying to get rid of this chocolate thing? It makes my life a little bit more fulfilling. And actually I have fun finding new kinds of chocolate. So, you know, it's trying to take care of all those aspects of ourselves. And most of us, we want to have fun, right? So why are we not putting the fun in the food? Why are we not putting the fun back into our lives and then using the emotional situations as the trigger to dishonor what we really need, or just kind of disconnect and then feel bad about it later? Which then, if we feel bad about it later, then what happens?
Eat more.
Then we eat more. And then what happens if we eat more? You know, then we feel guilty. And so it's like, it's this vicious cycle of where does it start and where does it end? So that's part of what I do, is help you figure out where it started and where it ended, because it's like the chicken and the egg syndrome. And help you actually put those little pieces into place. And I'm going to have this as another option available later as well, that I basically called it 5 Curatives for 5 food cravings. So, and I picked them all C's to match my last name. So you've got the chips, the cookies, and I picked Oreos. I didn't put chocolate chip, I'm sorry. Cola, chocolate, and cheese. So those are basically the typical ones, and they all have, like I said, probable meanings, But a lot of times, it's more extensive than that. But I also have on there other things that you can do. So for like the chocolate, you can eat more green vegetables. And that has more magnesium, because sometimes the chocolate craving is a physical thing. You need magnesium to calm down. It could be that you need to just reconnect with what makes you happy. You know, start loving yourself like you're your best friend, and go do something fun, you know? So you might not need the chocolate, or you'll have the chocolate after you had all the fun, because it's more fun to put chocolate into your life. I work with essential oils as well, and sometimes it's, you know, creating an essential oil blend of, you know, with bergamot, which is all about self-acceptance and self-love and just loving you as you are. Geranium, which is all about love and trust. And yang yang, which is all about playfulness and feeding the inner child, because, you know, children just want to play. So if you can just play as a 52-year-old or whatever old you are.
Which one's that? What did you say?
Yang yang is for
Yang yang,
for feeding the inner child. I just, you know, it's for playfulness. And kids are usually playing and laughing, so why not, right? And then the other one would be like divine love, which is rose. So these are some options that you can choose if you have one of these things, like, you know, cravings for chocolate and it's incessant.
Did you mention cheese was on that list? Also?
Cheese is on that list, yeah. So, you know, apparently there's a different meaning if you take cheese and put it on pizza. And then if you put pizza with vegetables or pizza with like pepperoni, that has a different probable meaning too.
Plain raw cheese, right from the package.
Now, it depends if it's thin crust or thick crust.
No pizza, just the cheese.
Oh, just the cheese.
Just the cheese.
Typically, craving for cheese is you're actually drained. And the cheese is actually going to give you some energy, because the fat is actually satisfying and it gives you a little bit of energy. Yeah, but it's usually cheese is just feeling exhausted and depleted and wanting a little bit of extra oomph. Cola is another one of those where, you know, you need an extra boost, and then that's both emotionally and physically. So, hi, others.
Did you need copies?
No, I have copies. I'm going to give you an opportunity later to actually learn how you can get one. Another way to actually help with, we're now going to the third leg. The third leg is the mental part, because we kind of alluded to a little bit of that if you're not taking care of yourself emotionally, then you start beating yourself up over what's happened. You put yourself into more stress, and then you might be choosing poorly on the physical needs, so you're not eating as well, you're not moving as well, and you're not sleeping as well. And this is all stress-based. So who wakes up every morning and like goes and steps on the scale? Some of us do and some of us don't. And some of us have stopped, which is probably a good thing. But typically, what happens when you step on the scale? There's one of two outcomes.
Happy or you're not.
You're happy or you're not, right? So, you know, but the funny part is, when you're happy, you know, you probably go and like, screw that diet, I'm gonna eat whatever I want that day, you know? So it kind of it puts you into that place where when you're happy, think about this, when you're happy and you go eat with your friends and you had this like most amazing meal, you way overate, but you guys had so much fun. When you step on the scale the next morning, you're like, how is it that I didn't gain any weight? It's because you had so much fun. Your body actually metabolizes differently when you're in that state of positivity. So when you're in that state of negativity and kind of beating yourself up, you are going to be metabolizing more sluggishly than you would be if you're in that state of happy. So it's really about changing those emotions to happy, however you can. But that mental part, if you were your best friend, would you say a lot of the things that you would say to yourself if that scale didn't tell you what you wanted it to say? Probably, I mean,
No.
If you think about it, no. Most of us, if it's, you know, crap, I put on 3 pounds. What's the first thing that goes in our head? It's not nice. It's not nice at all. But would we ever say that to our best friend? Is there a way that we can actually be loving to ourselves? Because really, in order to be happy and have that energy morning, noon, and night, we have to be loving to ourselves as well. We want to start changing that dialogue with ourselves so that we feel better. I used to call my thighs thunder thighs. I mean, it just, can you feel how heavy that feels when I say it? Like thunder thighs. And I had a weight issue. I mean, you look at me now and you go, yeah, you don't have a weight issue. And I go, well, when I had my adrenal exhaustion, I was 38 pounds heavier than I am now. I actually stopped weighing myself at 160, so I'm guessing at how much more I weighed. And right now I'm about 138, 140. That's pretty much my healthy weight, and it has been for 30 some years. So,
The scale's what sets you set yourself up for failure every morning. It's either way, you're not going to win. I stopped this because the thing to me is it has a number. What's a number? Has nothing to do. Somebody at 120 is as comfortable as someone at 140, same
Right.
height and everything. So it's a matter of how do I feel.
Right.
I mean, I go to the. I don't
Absolutely.
even look at the scale because it's a matter of how I feel. If I'm feeling kind of frumpy and fat, well, then I'll have to do something about it.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I
and then
totally-
I like how you say don't tie in the guilt because it's the guilt and the shame. They've done science. You know?
Right.
That's what people the people in faraway country, you know, where they smoke and they drink and they live to 120. Now, why is that? You know, we're
Because-
eating salads
yeah.
and vegetables. They don't touch the stuff. You know what I mean? They're eating meat and all that stuff, and it's because of their attitude and their mentality. So when
Yeah,
the
there's-
chocolate comes, because all the diets that deprive you of everything have
Yeah.
proven fail.
Right. And it's
that's because of
self-defeating.
moderate. Right, because then you go in the shame cycle and you
Right.
go, oh, what did I do? Why did I stay up
Right,
till
here,
2 o'clock
kick
at night?
yourself in the butt.
Why did I
Look,
eat that? Look, you
how
ate
many of
it?
you guys can kick yourself in the butt?
Exactly.
But we try to do that every day when the scale's not right,
Yeah.
or if our clothes don't fit right.
Right.
You know, so I had a client that just came in who was having similar issues. You know, put weight on, stopped exercising, put other family members ahead of herself, and boy, the talk that she had to herself, it's like, wow, okay, you would think that you were an axe murderer the way
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you're talking, you know, like there's no redeeming feature that you have
Right.
on this planet. Why are you even here? It wasn't quite that bad, but you know, it really, it's about trying to turn that around and say, okay, well, what are the positives? So I told you about my thunder thighs. Whew, yeah, for years, that was my self-love. Yeah, hate those, hate everything, you know, but I ended up realizing that, you know what, without these legs, I couldn't go run. I couldn't go walk. I couldn't do half the stuff that I do. And being an athlete, that's what makes my heart sing. It really makes me feel alive. And without my legs and my thighs, they would not be able to do all the stuff that helped me on those other levels. So as I changed my view of myself and started seeing, wow, this is actually something that's good, not, you know, a negative thing. Then I started actually choosing food differently. I started eating differently. I actually didn't crave all the junk food because I didn't feel like I was junk. So I didn't have to throw junk in. You know what I mean? So it's about trying to find that mental reframing. And that's one way, is just to kind of say, okay, well, what is one of your flaws, and can you actually make it into a positive something? Maybe it's just your oddity, you know? Reframe flaw to oddity, because it's really flaws like this. And oddity, at least it makes you unique, and that's kind of happy, and you can kind of embrace it with something positive. Another way to reframe, and this is something that, this is a book, my book called Messages of Love and Inspiration for Every Moment. This is something that I put together because these were some of the challenges that I had with trying to be the best person that I was going to be and trying to find that upliftment that I needed in times when I was challenged. So it's one of those where you can just kind of open it up and say, okay, this is what I need. So I had one that I was going to pick for you, and now it just says, pick this one instead. So this is trust yourself to be you. So what is trust? Trust is knowing in all parts of your being that it will all work out. Didn't we talk about that already? So Trust is knowing in all parts of your being that it will all work out. It can also be called faith. If we lack faith and trust, it is usually due to fear. Fear of what? Fear of rejection from family members, from friends, from community? Fear of lovability? Fear of the unknown? Fear of guilt, shame, or embarrassment? These fears are illusions that we have created in our own minds based on past experiences and emotional traumas from past situations. These become our expectations, and we fear we will get traumatized again. We fear that if we don't follow the rules, we will get punished, or someone may stop loving us. So if you keep going, I'm just going to kind of go near the end. Trust as being the real you is your path to happiness, joy, and creating the life that you want. It's all about you. Not what others think is right for you. It's what you know to be right for you. Trust that in your heart. You know what is right for you, and follow that path that feels best for your heart. So it's really about focusing on what it is that makes you happy, and only you know what that is. I can just be the conduit and the assistant to help you reconnect with that happy. And when you are happy, you move better, you choose better, you sleep better, you think better, your emotions are better, life is better. And when everything's better, aren't we like energized morning, noon, and night? And everything is just really good. So it's really about putting those parts together and allowing you to really focus on you and making sure that those three legs of your stool are always supporting you. Make sense? So I'm also, so now by now you understand the importance that you really need to look at all the legs of the stool. Because if you focus too much on one, the stool falls over.
I'm just curious why you didn't put spiritual as one of the legs, as a fourth leg, because it's here in one of the diagrams, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. Was there a reason you took it out? You took one of those legs away?
No, well, just for sake of time.
Oh, okay.
Just for sake of time. Because it really is a four-legged stool. I really think that fourth leg is the other part. So it's really, when you think about nutrition for body, mind, and soul, and like the soul also is the spiritual and the emotional and the mental all put together.
Okay.
So the spiritual part is there, but we just don't have enough time to get into all those parts either. But that book will also help you reconnect to that spiritual part, because God is inside of us, and the love is inside of us. And if we keep looking for it out there, it's going to stay out there, but it's actually in here.
Yep.
So it's really connecting with that part so that you can be that best person you can be. And when you feel that, that will be the fourth leg to really feel supported, you know? And then it doesn't matter if one's overweighted that much, because you've got four legs. It's a little bit more stable. But you have to be in the center of that stool, no matter if it's three legs or four. So let's see. So we went through the. So I'm gonna. One of the. You realize now that you need to do something, right?
Question, how important is the colon in this process?
How important is the what?
Colon,
Colon.
to make the colon.
Okay, in terms of what process?
I'm talking about the nutrition.
So that would be a whole another
nother-
talk.
no,
That
no.
is part of the physical part. It's definitely part of the physical part, because how you move, how you feed yourself, how you detoxify and empty, that's also a part that is necessary. So if you're not eliminating on a physical level, that sometimes can also be a spiritual emotional thing too. That, remember I talked about those emotions that are buried and we stick them in a nice little box and hide them away. Sometimes it's the not letting go of those things ends up being the issue, some issues with the colon. So especially if somebody is constipated, you know, we don't really like to talk about that. You guys just ate. Sorry. But it's...
The reason I bring that up, I work out at Robert Woods, not Robert Woods, YMCA, and
Okay.
I talked to a gentleman, and he had been exercising, messed up, and he found out that was one of his main problems in terms of him not being able to get the kind of body he wanted to get.
Right, okay, that makes sense. So, but that's something where I think it's one of the parts to take care of the body. Because if you're not eliminating properly, then where's it going? You know, there have been people know that if they're not evacuating, you know, when you're a baby, you eat, you poop, you eat, you poop. It pretty much goes hand in hand. When we're adults, oh, just go once a day. Sometimes doctors say, oh, once every 3 days is fine. Really? It's probably not. You really want to be able to, it's got to be once a day, and, you know, there's a optimal texture, consistency, color, this, that, less scent, not more, you know. All these things actually can be a indicator of an imbalance internally. But that internal balance can also be affected by those negative thoughts, the negative self-talk, the positivity, the negativity, the hiding of those emotions, and not having forgiveness for yourself for being in that situation, and or, you know, other aspects. So it's kind of a complicated thing, but the colon is part of the whole physical body, and if we ignore that, we're still not going to get to where we want to be. But is it always about being at the physical look? You know, is it always about that? Maybe it's not about that, because like with my one client, Denise, that came in, you know, she's taking care of her son. Now she realizes, like, you know, I could take care of me because he's the one that told me that I can go and have fun and I'll be okay. Maybe I gave her actually permission to take care of herself. So that made it feel better. She also, her new motto is, what would Tammy say? Because her best friend is Tammy. So instead of what would Jesus say, you know, it's like, what would Tammy say? So that she could become her best friend again and say, instead of being like negative towards herself, she could be loving and say, okay, well, Tammy would say this to me. She would never be mean. But it's putting those pieces all together so that the body starts to actually thrive and feel good all the time. And working on what you put in and what you let go of is just part of that equation as well. So, makes sense. By now you kind of made the association that in order to feel amazing morning, noon, and night, you need to take care of the 3 or 4 legs of your stool, right? And then anytime it's overweighted or overstressed, then the stool is going to fall over. So I wanted to make it easy for you to be able to put some of the things that we talked about today into practice. I have my book available. It's $7. Even on Amazon, it's $7. I'm going to have it autographable today too, so that's even more exciting. And that's going to help you with some of those mental and emotional challenges to basically help you get to that place of upliftment. But one of the things I also want to do is give you the options to have the 10 ways to eat more vegetables, because that's a way to minimize some of that stress. It's not to say that it's the only way to do it, but it's one way to kind of give your body the extra support that it needs on a physical level so it's not so stressed out. I'm also going to throw in the 12 things you can do now to improve your energy. And anytime you're feeling a little tired and sluggish, you can just whip this thing out and go, you know, let me just pick one. And you could just do randomly or decide, you know what, I'm going to do one of these a month. And until I get that one done, then I'll go to the next one. So they're easy little, they're easy ideas, but they're pretty quick and to the point. And I also have a healthy grocery list, because when you go to the grocery store, you need to be able to stay on track and get those foods that are fueling your body, rather than fill your cart with the ice cream, the cookies, and the things that are keeping you off track and keeping you away from feeling amazing morning, noon, and night. The next thing I want to add is that tip sheet of the 5 curatives for 5 food cravings, because we know those cravings are going to come up. So we want to give you a way to easily address them on both a physical, mental, and emotional level, and give you options in terms of how to make it right for that situation. So if I put these together, the book and those tip sheets, on my website, that would be $30. But we all know that we're all individuals, and our legs are going to need different support at different times, and each one of us needs really that one-on-one assistance so that we can actually make it work and put it into place after you leave here today. So I really want to give you a one-on-one session so that we can make those changes for you, so that you can feel that amazing noon and night. Normally that would be $225 to work with me. Today I'm going to add that to the book and the tip sheets for $27. For $27, yes. So wouldn't it be worth it if you could be like Denise and take care of herself as well as taking care of her family, her children, and her fiance? Wouldn't that be worth it? Wouldn't it be worth it if you could be at peace and less stressed and find that healthy eating zen, morning, noon, and night?